Well, good morning. Good morning. Well, it's not morning, it's good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock here where I live. And today is, well, another episode of Wellness Wednesday. And as every Wednesday, I come up with a spark, with a motivation, with an insight. And today, especially, I'm very, very honored and very happy with the topic that I'm going to talk about and share with you because I feel that everything is energy, and when we feel elevated and we feel energized, and when we bring ourselves with energy in life, everything else around us improves, right? But what is the other side? So we're going to be talking today about how to ignite the inner spark when you feel lost, especially when you're like in menopause and midlife, because that is a topic for many, many women who are in that phase, or who we are in that phase. There is a period of time where we feel lost and scattered, and like there is no energy, no motivation, no drive. Even our libido is low, and we feel just low, right? So before I dig into what I'm going to speak and share with you today, I would like to know if you're attending today live, do hashtag live. And if you're watching in the replay, do hashtag replay. And along the way, whenever something sparks into an idea, a spark with what I'm sharing, please share it in the comments, because I love to listen or to read that something that I say might spark an idea, an insight that can really detour your life for better feeling, to become a better feeling woman, right? And it's all about that. Today I'm going to talk a lot about that. So it takes just one idea, one spark, one conversation, one thought to change the direction of your life. And let me repeat that, because sometimes we feel that we're dragging the towel, we're carrying this bag of rocks in our back, and our back is hurting, our chest is hurting, our shoulder is hurting, and we're just feeling heavy and overweight, and with all these aches and pains in our body, and with migraines, and with headaches, and with problems with digestion, and problems with sleep. Everything that is happening for us, not to us. And maybe all this feels so heavy, so complicated, so you feel just so lost, you feel just so lonely, you feel like there's no motivation to start your day, and you just start your day scrolling on Instagram and Facebook, or something that might spark that might spark that energy for you to start a day, but actually is doing quite the opposite. You feel maybe you're like living a monotonous life, like everything is an automatic, like an autopilot, and you don't even remember what you did, what you ate, who you chatted with, what you did, what your child was even trying to tell you, because you feel so lost. And we're living in like a fog, in a fog, right? Instead of really living in the present. So raise your hand and tell me in the comments if you have felt like that, if you felt like it's hard, it's like a motor wanting to turn on, and you put the key, but first of all you have the wrong key to ignite the motor, or you put the key in and you're trying to turn it and it's just not going. So that's probably how you're feeling, and that is how I was feeling for a moment, even though I was pretending everything was okay. But the more I pretended I was okay, the lousier I felt, because guess what? I was not honoring how I was feeling. I was not being true to myself. And that is doing a disservice to you, and it was doing a disservice to me. So it's important to start noticing that we're feeling lonely, start noticing that we're feeling lost, start noticing that you feel like where to look up. When you start feeling that down, that lousy, guess what? You're at the bottom. And guess what? When you're at the bottom, you only have to look up and everything starts to get better. So when you're rock bottom or when you're almost there and you feel like so disgusted to yourself that you don't even want to see yourself in the mirror, it's a good sign because you're about to start seeing in a different direction and you're about to start living a different type of world, a different type of lifestyle, a different type of mentality or mindset so that you can improve the well-being of yourself and also the ones around you. But it always starts with you. So in that moment when I was feeling down, I searched, I prayed, I started to become curious. That's what happens when you're feeling so down that you feel lost and it's like, okay, there's nothing that I can lose, but start becoming curious to explore. And I think I talked about that in a previous episode, but it's so important. So I started being curious and finding different ways. So I came across, and I was working out my body, but I felt still that something was missing. So I started creating a morning routine in which I not only worked out my body, but I was also working out my mind, my spirit, my heart, and also my body. So I started doing all these kinds of things in the morning that set my morning off for a good day. And I am very big on that. It's very important to protect the first 1 or 2 hours of your day to create the version of you that you want to see out in the world. But it starts with you. It starts with you with an intention to have a morning that you blocked time for yourself. It's super important. And then you create certain habits that you stick to that are non-negotiable so that you can go out in the world showing up for the world, showing up for what is meant for you in the day. When you lead your first hours of the day, then the day is led for you. So it is worth it making the time and creating this morning routine, going through the work and the trouble to implement different habits, stacking some habits. It does require work, but it's work that is well invested. It's an investment, it's not an expense. And then when you are invested in yourself, then what happens is everybody around in the world will be invested in you. It's amazing how that works. And I'm gonna give you a few examples of something that just happened even this morning. So, and yesterday I started doing some posts and I wrote something. And a friend of mine read that post and I made a comment on that post. And a friend of mine who knows who I am and what I do, she said, well, if anybody's dealing with low libido, and we're talking about low energy, she said, you need to talk with Maaike. She's an excellent coach and she can help you ignite that fire, that emotion, that motivation, that spark for life. Because low libido, if you're dealing with low fatigue, low energy, low libido, hormonal imbalances, it all boils down to our emotions. And our emotions are created by our thoughts. Everything starts with a thought. You have a different thought, you have a different feeling, a different emotion, then you take a different action, and then your result is going to be completely different. So yes, it's important what you eat, but it's even more important what you think and then how you feel about the things. So my intention with these trainings and with these lives and this podcast, as you can say, is for me to share a little insight of what is happening in the real world, what is happening in the inner world, And so that you can come up with what is in it for you, right? What is it in the game for you, for the game of life that is your life? But I hope this gives you a little insight of what is a good way of living, what makes it a good life. So creating a routine that is only for you. If you let me know in the comments, do you have a morning routine or do you have an evening routine? Let me know in the comments, yes, I have a morning routine, or no, I would like to learn how to create a morning routine. Let me know in the comments. So here are 3 things that have helped me kind of understand and spark that inner desire, even that inner curiosity to figure out what am I brought to this world to be or to become, and to ignite that inner spark from your soul. And I feel that there's 3 ways that we can do this. Number 1 is take the time and think about a memory of your childhood, a moment in life that you felt like you were in heaven, that nothing would worry, that you felt like yourself, that you enjoyed yourself, that everything that surrounded you was beautiful, the smells, the pleasure, your heart felt like it was going to explode. You felt so loved, so understood, so with no worries. So think about that memory that brought you so much joy. What was that for you? When you go back in time and you feel that experience, maybe something will connect the dots in your brain and it's like, that's why I'm feeling like that, or that is what I want to feel again. What can I do in my life to spark that joy again? It's not dead, right? It's just kind of been dormant for many years because we have had to learn and cope and do a lot of the things as we grow up. And we grow up and we become moms and spouses, and then moms, and then jobs, and we are piled up with a bunch of things. So when you learn and when you spark that, you have to create the time to think about, for that childhood memory that might ignite something. That is experiment number 1. Experiment number 2 is speaking with a mentor, a coach, or someone that you really, really trust, that is not going to give you your back, that is not going to give you an opinion, is going to listen to your ideas, to something that you probably have in the back of your head, of a dream that even though you don't know how, but you have some intention, you have something that really you would like to do in life, and you feel that it's so far away that you will not be able to achieve it. But if you have that person with whom you can share that person will listen, and that person will feel your energy, and then that person can just mirror you and like that energy, and she will be able to give you a different perspective and maybe a little idea of what she receives from what you're saying that can give you a different perspective and an idea. It's like, yes, that's exactly how I feel, or that's exactly how I want to feel, or that's exactly where I want to go. But when you put it out there, there's a beautiful chemistry that happens. It's like an experiment. And when 2 energies combine, there is magic that happens. So you will feel that spark, and it's like, oh my gosh, yes. And let me give you, before I go to number 3, let me give you an example that just happened this morning. So I had a meeting with someone who owns a bakery, right? And I had in my mind that, like, she had mentioned that she had some health issues, and we were gonna talk about her health. But then I said, no, I'm just gonna be open and to receive the message that is meant for that moment. we sat down. She gave me a jasmine tea that was really calming and delicious. She has this beautiful place that is kind of like, you feel like you're going into Paris, to a bakery in Paris, and it's so well set and so nicely decorated that I felt like I was traveling. So she gave me that little joy of pleasure and just memories from my past, and even from my mom. She is from Europe, so it brought me a lot of joy just to be in this place. And I was just asking questions and listening. So in the asking questions and listening, she said, and I have just met her this last week, but she trusted me so much, we connected heart to heart. And she said, Maaike, I'm going to share with you something that I have not shared with anybody, but it's in the projects of what I want to do next, because she owns 2 bakeries and a little food cart, and she wants to create a Mexican restaurant. So I was just listening, and she was giving me the joy of all the things that she wants, and I gave her some ideas, and magic happens, not only for her, but for me, into which we might be able to contribute, and I might be able to contribute in so many ways for this creation of her dream. But that is when 2 like-minded people that are open from the heart and their trust enough, there is magic that can happen. And that can happen with you listening to this message, or with you working with me, or with you sharing this video with someone else that needs to hear it. We never know when our message is going to come across someone that really needs it, and it can ignite the fire, or ignite the spark that is going to build a fire within, that is not going to help only that person, but everyone around them. And that is my mission, right? Is to share a message, or to give the space for women to talk, to express themselves, to be heard, and to ignite that inner fire and that inner spark that is already in you, but with the chemistry of 2 people is like the fire that can ignite that spark. So again, being in the present moment. So number 1, I said, going back to the past memory of a childhood. Number 2, being in the present moment, having a conversation with someone that you really trust, and it inspires you that energy to share whatever is in your mind. That is number 2, and give you a perspective. I feel a number 3, if you're really looking and searching and you're not finding yourself. I have always been fascinated by elderly people. Elderly people, there's a lot of wisdom. They have learned a lot from life, and they have a lot of insight. And I'm starting to feel that. I always admired my grand aunts that died when they were in their 90s. And I always admired and enjoyed a conversation with them, because they had always a lot to give. So if you have never really spoken and heard and asked questions and become curious with some elderly people, start looking for that opportunity. Maybe you have a family member that is elderly. Well, book a conversation with them, but really listen and really be curious and really ask questions, because from something that they say, they might ignite that fire or that inner wisdom that is within you, that then from there you can create miracles, you can create the world. Everything starts with one thought, and when you are there, magic just happens. So those are kind of the past, the present, and the future, and utilize what is around you. Or if you have a child or grandchild, just sit down and admire the way they interact, the way they play, the way they are curious. When you are there to be present and not so busy in just your work and putting food on the table, but really being there, because in the end, when our job is to do the things to give us the freedom and the time to enjoy, right? Why not enjoy those moments that can even bring you so much more pleasure from a place that you can give your best self to your work that you do every day? So let's invert this. Let's invert the order. Instead of you feeling like you're at the end of the list, of the priority list, you become the first one in the priority list. And from there, you set a foundation so strong, so powerful, that everything that you do in life is going to impact everybody else. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And one last thing that I wanted to share with you. I don't know if when you were a child, I know that when we're in menopause, we just want to hide, like hide and seek, right? And I hope nobody finds me because you feel so shitty. But I remember as I was meditating this morning, I remember that game that is, we called it in Spanish, un, dos, tres por mí y todos mis compañeros. I don't know how you call that in English, but it's when everybody went to hide, and then you had to come out of your hiding place, and you have to touch base without being touched by somebody else. And if you did that and you touched the wall without being touched, you would say 1, 2, 3 for me and for everybody else. And when you did that, everybody else could come out from their hiding places. So I relate that to when you feel in menopause, when you feel like you're lost, but you found a better way. It's like you're the one who's going to touch the wall, and then you're going to liberate everybody else from hiding in their hiding places, and then together you can create worlds. I was very inspired, very energized, and very happy with the conversation that I had. And I hope that today you felt a little bit of that energy, because I want you to feel touched. I want you to feel sparked. I want you to feel like you can be the manager and the controller and the CEO and the enterprise of your world, of your business, of your family, of yourself, that you can create worlds. But it starts with you, and I want you to feel that and I want you to know that you're here for a reason, and I want you to know that when you find out that reason for living here in this world and that purpose, you will thank whoever ignites you, like even this conversation. You will thank yourself for taking a little bit of your time to invest in you, to become the better version of yourself. Because my mission was for you to feel at your best. And I would like to hear what inspired you today from today. And if this message was helpful in any way, share it with anybody that you know that needs to listen or needs a little bit of spark to live a better life. And with that, I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for following me. Thank you for sharing this conversation. And if you ever want to look more of how to do a one-on-one conversation with me and see what inspires you and where you want to go in life, I would be honored to do that with you. So thank you so much. Thank you for my wellness community. I really appreciate your time, and have a blessed day today. Go and shine a light to somebody else. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.